It's Transformers 96 Earth in the video review. This time we have the Batman Arkham Knight DC Collectibles Man-Bat figure. So this was probably, I'd say one, if not my most anticipated Arkham Knight figure to be released, which is really cool. Man-Bat has been a character that obviously was not in the three other games, and I thought that just the character himself really lended himself to being part of this Arkham universe, which is the very kind of gritty and somewhat scary kind of element. So I think that he was perfect for an Arkham game. So I'm surprised it took this long to get him in one of the games, but I am happy that he is, and I am even more happy that we actually have a figure representation of the character. So before I go into the actual figure here, let's go over his packaging really fast. Looking really nice. You do have Man-Bat on the side there. Nice picture of the Batmobile. On the side, kind of have the blueprints. I really like what they're doing with this. I think it's really neat to kind of get the blueprinted type of picture of the character, as well as to get each character that has its own color theme. I think that's very cool as well. Do have a nice blueprint of him on the side here. Here's the rest in the assortment. The Red Hood isn't out yet, or this version of the Red Hood isn't out, but Azrael, Professor Pig, and Man-Bat have all been released together. I did pick up Man-Bat, obviously, and Professor Pig. I think, I don't think I'm going to skip Azrael, but I think that I'll just wait to get him on a on somewhat of a sale or discount or something. As you can see, Professor Pig packaging, this is the standard packaging for an Arkham figure, and this one is so much bigger, so obviously due to his wingspan. And what's really wonderful is that he is being sold for the same price as all the others. I did pick this up at Toy Anxiety, and they have it for $27. I got it for a little cheaper than that, but really nice to actually get a figure this large and still being, or still having it in the same toy line as the rest of them, and not being considered like deluxe and charging $30-$40 for it or whatnot. So I am quite happy about that. Let's get on to the actual figure. And just because of how large he is, let's just take the package out. Alright, so let's appreciate some of this detail, which is just absolutely wonderful. DC Collectibles is, of course, really known for their detail on figures, and this one is no exception. Looking wonderful, as you can see. Really neat, kind of very scary character. I'll be honest, when this guy was first introduced in the game, because I did actually play Arkham Knight, and when he popped up just out of nowhere, it freaked me out. I think I yelled a bit, actually. It was really quite a fright, because there's no warning this guy's coming. You're doing your own thing, and you just climb on top of a building, and then he just yells at you, and he just pops out of nowhere. So his introduction is definitely a memorable one, which is kind of neat, but as you can see, looking really cool, very scary. He kind of has these hoses all over him, kind of like a medical pieces or cords, kind of wrapped around him all over places. I do like the one that's kind of in his nose, and then it does wrap around to the back of his head and is attached there. And then the main hose just goes to his back and isn't connected to anything, which looks fine, obviously from the front, who cares, and it does allow his head to have full range of motion without being restricted by that cord whatsoever, which is good. And I just love the detail, the kind of red on his forehead, and I love the coloring in his ears. That looks wonderful and really highlights the detail in there, which is great. As you can see, some excellent kind of neck veins, and his collarbone and everything is sculpted really well. The actual arms themselves are very smooth, but then the, I don't know what you'd call that, skin things? Muscles? Whatever, that's kind of under his arms are sculpted really nicely. And again, the red highlights really bring out the lines in it, which is very cool. I definitely like these hands. And some excellent veins and detail in the wings as well, which is very cool. Looking wonderful. And I do like the way that they have the wings kind of bent together. I think that looks really nice. Really good choice. He does have some medical, pieces around him. He's got some medical kind of wristbands there, some IVs in his elbow. The only problem is this is the only side. Sorry, his wings are so big, it's kind of hard to get them through my lights here. But the kind of IV that's going into his elbow, it's actually just painted on there. It's not sculpted, which is definitely a shame. However, on this side, it is all sculpted. So I don't know if that was maybe just a secondary thought to add some more on the other side or something, but this is actually all sculpted, which looks really fantastic. But it is weird that this side, it isn't sculpted. And these bracelets are sculpted too, so this is the only detail on this figure that's actually just painted and not sculpted, which is kind of strange. The way that his skin is kind of torn and you can see his muscles is very creepy, but it does look really cool. And kind of following in the Titan Joker tradition, his torn skin is in the shape of a heart over his heart as well. It's an excellent little detail that Titan Joker has that I'm actually happy that they continued with this Man-Bat. He's got kind of like this little tail here, very bat-like, and he does have that kind of hanging skin on the back of his thighs, like he does on his arms. So very cool. Definitely very long feet, and as you can see, they bend. So you're basically going to be putting him on his heel as well as his bottom of his foot or top of his foot, right before the toes. So very nice, and then the toes are sculpted pretty nicely and have the toenail kind of sharp details, which look really cool. So detail on this guy is absolutely stunning, looking really fantastic. Let me just try to give you a really nice view of him to kind of see his full wingspan and just see him all together. As you can see, there we go. Looking really fantastic. This guy definitely lends himself to some sort of flight base. Using the one that comes with the Hot Toys Jatari, I think he looks really nicely. And see if I can get this all set up. Get a bit of a pose going. Alright, as you can see, he just looks awesome, and with a flying base or some sort of a base that is meant for a bigger figure or something, so that he can look like he's flying. Really cool, just super awesome. He looks fantastic. Obviously, detail is DC Collectibles' specialty, if I would have to say one. So I do think that he looks wonderful in general, but in some sort of fighting stance, obviously, is perfect for the character and definitely what the character needs. Alright, so let's go over articulation. Articulation is quite good. Just get him off this base. Alright, so going over articulation, the neck is on a ball joint, which works pretty nicely. Just get everything set up. Alright, so the head can look up slightly, barely though. He can definitely look down, which is nice. And of course some side-to-side action. And he moves his head actually looking sideways instead of just tilting his head sideways, which is nice as well. He has ball hinge shoulders. The hinge joint is incredibly strong, which can support the massive weight of the wing, which is really great. There's no articulation in the elbow, which is expected. Obviously, you can totally see that from all the images, so I had no expectations of an elbow joint, so I wasn't disappointed. And just based on, flying characters in general, I think that it is kind of smart not to give them joints in the elbows, just to have a really cohesive and nice looking wing when it comes to a series like Arkham, which is mainly more about the looks than articulation. However, in some other cases, I do think that it would be smart to actually put in elbow joints and just have the wing so that it's separated from the elbow to this side and then from the elbow to the body, so that you can actually have articulation. So I'm not disappointed that he doesn't have articulation, because I really wasn't expecting it, and I think just to keep the cohesive look of the wings, I think it is definitely worth it. No wrist articulation, which is obvious and totally fine. His wings are slightly rubberish, I guess, just slightly. The arms aren't, though. The arms are plastic, and then the thumb is slightly rubber as well. He has an ab crunch, which is really nice. It can't really go back very far. It can really just kind of straighten out, or it can be bent forward really far, which is quite nice and definitely looks good in flight poses. I will say all these little wires or whatnot are much harder than I was expecting. I was expecting them to be quite soft, but they're actually very hard plastic, so I would be careful of not breaking these. His articulation isn't going to break them or anything, but if you actually accidentally are not paying attention, kind of posing them roughly and moving these around severely, they might break off. However, I wouldn't be too worried about it. He has ball joint thighs, which work really nicely, swivel at the bicep, hinge at the knee, which works really well, and then some hinge pivoting ankles, which work fantastic. They can hinge down very far to make those flight poses look really nice, and then they do have the pivot, which is pretty fantastic as well. So this figure I would consider is quite excellent, really just awesome. I love the look of this Man-Bat. When I first saw it, I wasn't a huge fan. I liked it, but it did look kind of creepy for my taste. However, I've really come to like it a lot, and I think that it's an awesome representation of Man-Bat from the Arkham Knight video game. Just really cool in general. Let's give you a quick size comparison. Alright. Have Manbat. Obviously, let's put him with the Batman. This is the Arkham City Batman. Then we have from his wave Professor Pig. And then from the wave before it, Gordon. So he's extremely large because he's obviously taller than all of them, and then his massive arms and wings really create a lot of plastic and mass to him anyway. So he's definitely a fantastic deal because, I mean, if you go to a toy store, toy stores might charge more for him, but just from any basic retailer, they will be charging the same price as the rest because he is part of the same assortment. He isn't any more expensive for them to buy than Professor Pig or Azrael or anything like that. So you should be able to get this guy for the same price that you pay for Professor Pig and the other ones in this wave. And I would highly recommend this figure. Definitely one of the best Arkham figures I've received in a long time, and definitely my favorite from the wave so far. And Professor Pig is a great figure, so definitely highly recommended by me, and thanks so much for watching.